That's what you get if you fly. If you invite Dutchmen, then you get Flying Dutchman to start off. Yeah. And obviously, you think, where's the connection, right? Well, this is the connection. This is Captain Gamification. And there's Hold It Landlubbers, not so fast, because he has a story to tell. Because he wants to talk about something that is really, really dear to his heart. It's not pirates, it's not colonizing, it's not slavery, the things that Dutch people were good at. No, this is, he likes to talk about gamification of corporate sales. Very sexy topic in the old days, right? But still now, and even more so now. But before I get there, let's talk something about myself. Just very, very quickly. I work at the Octalysis Group. I'm a keynote speaker, like many of us here. As Michiel said, I used to be a former diplomat, or I was a former diplomat, and now I'm with the Octalysis Group. Where's the link, right? Well, the link is here. Oh, this doesn't work, sorry. The link is here. I used to work mainly in post-conflict situations, and whether it was Afghanistan, Burundi, Iraq, etc., etc. How do we get people to change their ways? How do we get people to participate in different circumstances, in peace rather than war? How do you get rebels of the mountains into a joint army? And it's all about creating design that motivates people. And from there, I went into HR, virtual HR provision, for example, on oil rigs. Also, there's how do we get people knowledge in very difficult to reach places that is motivational to interact with. So I see it as a continuous line of 17 years of creating engagement, basically. So there is a disconnect, but it's also connected on a maybe a super level. Right. This is. I was asked for my game song or game tune. And I said, well, I already have a song. Sorry. But I didn't want to spoil the broth, so I wanted to share you, instead of my game song, my game identity. I spend around 15 hours a week, depending on whether I feel stressed, then maybe it's 25. on Heroes of the Storm, that's my game. That's almost exclusively what I play. I advise everybody who wants to become a successful gamification designer to get really addicted to a successful game. I'm not talking about Candy Crush. I'm not talking about Clash Royale or something like that. No, something that's really immersive that you constantly think about, because that's the feeling you want to create when you design for your audience as well. And go in there and play continuously until your family members really want to kill you. That's where you hit the right spot. All right, this is some of my clients that we work with at the Octalysis Group. It's a large variety. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Hey, he's back. Captain Gamification. Gamification of corporate sales. Let's go there. He's constantly thinking about that. And what he's really worried about is, why can sales not be fun, right? Why is it that sales is often seen as a very extrinsic kind of experience? And we thought, oh, is this really true? Until we looked at a Procter & Gamble distributor sales team, and they were really, really, really burned out. And you see that with many, many sales teams, right? It's basically all over the world. And it's not just sales teams that we're talking about that are burned out. The crisis of engagement, because this is all part of a wider global phenomenon called the crisis of engagement, that we see in terms of people spending less and less time on websites, checking their phones 200 times a day, but also in the workplace. If you look at workplace engagement, the numbers have been stagnantly negative for the last 10, 20 years. Right? It's only around 13 to 20%, depending on which country you look at, but worldwide, between 30 and 20% of people that are not engaged in the workplace. Right? 25% typically are actively disengaged. Right? They actively sabotage the work processes that they do. These are old numbers. Don't change ever. You can put AR, VR, MR, AI, whatever there. Doesn't matter. It has to do with design. Right. So look at why then it's important not only for this sales team to get better design to work with, but for everybody in the workplace. Now, for this sales team, but for other teams as well, these are the causes of burnout in their team. There's a lot of extrinsic black hat design, and I'll talk about what that is later. There's no autonomy almost. People run from a script again and again and again and again, and there's almost no choices that you can take to come from a different direction to the same results. The community is often lacking. Depends a little bit where you are, but for many sales teams, it's a one versus one affair. There's almost no immediate feedback, especially if you work in corporate sales. As a result of it, the sales from the team were stagnant. There was a high churn. People were leaving the business over and over and over again. Big problem. Now let's look at it from an Octalysis side. And before I go into analysis, I just want to quickly run Octalysis, really quickly, because I know maybe some people may not have heard of Octalysis or don't know the basics. Just quickly, right? Just 2 minutes, don't worry. Octalysis framework invented by Yukai Chao. And what he did is started to look at successful games, because there's a lot of crappy games that don't make money, not successful in the market, and see what elements can we think of that make these games so successful, and how are they interrelated. And he came up with a system called the Octalysis framework, which is a combination between an octagon and analysis, really clever. And basically, there's 8 core drives that are responsible for human motivation. So for any of these motivations to exist, one of these core drives need to be present. And if none of these core drives are there, then there's no motivation and no behavior happens, right? And the core drives range from epic meeting and calling on the top, feeling really special by forming part of something that is bigger than yourself. We talked about collective journeys, going to church, being part of a revolution, etc. To scarcity, being motivated by coupons, discounts, countdown timers, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into all of them. You have time to do that later after my speech if you want to. Right. But I do want to show you there's a segmentation that we can bring in. Now, we call it left brain and right brain. There's no such thing as left brain, and there's no such thing as right brain. However, it's a nice classification of the left side of the octagon and the right side of the octagon. And the left side of the octagon, the motivators there are mainly extrinsic. So mainly short-term motivators, where you are motivated because you expect a reward for your behavior. Yeah, or for interacting with the design. Versus the right brain, which is more intrinsic, at least has a tendency to be more intrinsic. And these are things that we feel good about doing, right? And we even do them without having a reward for them, right? You don't have to pay me to join a social club. I'm even willing to pay you to join that social club. I'm willing to mindlessly push a button in a casino just for the chance that I get to win maybe 25 cents or maybe $1. Right? And you don't have to pay me or to become creative. That's what I want to do by myself. This is also where all the fun is. Yeah? It's never on the left brain side. That's all about efficiency, getting people to do things, scooping dirt and things like that. This is where all the fun comes in. All right, the second division we make is the top and the bottom. On the top is what we call white hat motivation. These are the motivators that make you feel good. Like going to church, like drawing, for example. But there's often no urgency, right? These are things you'd like to do, but there's other things you have to do. So once you feel that there's other things you have to do, you often drop it. So I want to create a revolution, but first I have to do my taxes, right? For example. So black hat motivation is creating a lot of urgency, right? These are things that you have to do now. But if there's a lot of that motivation around, then you feel no control, and you want to exit the experience. So it's our job to balance all of these core drives so that you have a balanced motivation, and it's not leaning extrinsic, not to intrinsic, not to white hat, not to black hat, depending on the time of the experience. Okay, this is the Octalysis analysis, and that's why I came to this slide. This is how a Procter & Gamble team looks like, right? It's all about efficiency, it's all about rewards, it's all about scarcity, doing your KPIs now, feeling the wrath if you don't meet your targets, being afraid of the boss, all these things, all sales teams. Right? Almost no intrinsic and white hat. Almost no long-term motivators. So it was no wonder that these people are kind of burned out. Wait, sorry. Oh, poor. There's no fun in sales. Really sad. Okay. So Procter & Gamble says, Octalysis, please do something about it. We're not even sure whether you can do it. We can't do it anymore. How do we change this? Because this team has been going on for 20 years. How can we change it, right? So, okay, let's see what we could do. And for that, we have to come from analysis to implementation. Right? There's a lot of analysis around, and our group here, community, there's a lot of people who analyze. I would like to see how we implement. And really, I hope also this conference, we get a lot of people who share the results, who share also the ROIs, the return on investments that they got, because our business needs it. Our business needs to show that not only is it good at analysis, it's also good at really obtaining long-term results. And that's something that we, going forward, need to keep doing. All right, so this is our structure. We have a 5-step process. I've dealt it up into 3 steps. But basically, the thing to remember here, that gamification is not a game, right? It's not just for fun. We're trying to impact business metrics. Right? The objectives of a business, of a group, of a government need to be impacted. So we start off with a strategy dashboard as the base for our designs, where we look at business metrics, user types, desired actions. So what are the desired actions that users need to take in the experience in order for you as a business to obtain your business metrics, your goal of the whole experience. We look at feedback mechanics, rewards, incentives, etc. Once we've done that, we are going to look at what features can we think of that fit, which will empower, the desired actions that users need to take. Once we have all these features listed, we're going to give them power scores. It's like, how powerful is every feature that we've thought of, and how easy is it to implement for the client? Because you can tell a client that every new user gets a Ferrari, everybody will sign up, but the client will be broke, right? So he will not be there to witness the end. So we need to make sure that also the features that we think of are implementable by the client. Then we look at the activity loops, the levels, the connections between rewards, desired actions, etc. So we get the whole in-game, basically, economy and structure of how the experience would look like. Now, once we have that all agreed with the client, because it's never a top-down exercise, it's always very transparent, very participatory with the client, we're gonna do the fun part, right? This is what we all love to do, at least I like to do it, where we basically go screen by screen by screen, a visual representation of why the user will be motivated to go from one desired action to the other throughout the experience. And sometimes the slide deck is only like 150 slides, but often it goes up to 1,000, 2,000 slides. I work with an Australian client. I'm now 2,300 slides for just one experience. But you know, this is not just one Diablo run. This is 1,000 Diablo runs, right? That we are trying to create for. So it's very, very labor-intensive work, but very fun. All right. So our solution for Procter & Gamble distributor was, we want a solution that is fully integrated in your workflow in a CRM. Why? Often we see gamified experiences that are add-ons and sitting on your desktop, and it doesn't pop up when you need it. It's not there to guide you. It's just there to be interacted with. But it doesn't solve the problem, because it needs to be integrated in your workflow. If not, you don't interact with it. Secondly, we want to have autonomous choices for salespeople, especially senior salespeople. For the juniors, it's fine. You know, they need more guidance than others. But for the people that have already proven their worth, they need to have this autonomy to have sales approaches that they like, and to experiment that there are different kind of options to come to the sale. Mentors and coaches, senior people need to be able to distribute their experience, need to be able to influence younger people. Believe me, I've been in sales myself. It's really gratifying if you can show a group of 100 people what you did well. It's really cool. It's the only thing in sales that is cool, is that you can tell other people how cool it was when you did it. Right? And this is what we try to institutionalize in the app itself. Of course, we have enhanced group dynamics, quests. We don't want people to compete. We want people to work together. And you'll see that in the app, what I'll show you later. So it has to be a fun environment, more intrinsic than extrinsic. Almost the opposite of what they're doing now. Okay. I think the captain gets a bit impatient. He's a rude Dutchman, so he says, get on with it, will you? You know, I want to see results. And this is what our clients tell us as well, right? It's all nice, this analysis, but what are the results? All right, so here it starts, right? So after having been bombarded with posters and flyers and whatever in the office environment, it's like, oh, something is coming. Something. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? So everybody is talking about it. Nobody knows what's going on. They get this email, right? It's like, hey, they got a secret code. And this is in Polish, by the way, because we piloted this in Poland. So sorry. Hey, got a secret code. Can I win a prize? What will happen next? And it's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And it turns out that they only got part of the code, right? Of a random colleague. And in order to activate the code, they need to meet that colleague and to get their part of the code to working together, which we thought was a very interesting concept because it finally got people to go together and work for something they have never done in 20 years. Everybody has only their own clients. And all of a sudden, to open this experience, they still don't know what they're opening. But because it was so secretive, everybody wanted to open it, and everybody got in touch with someone else. Then they got the code activated, and they got it. They had to open the mystery box. And when they opened the mystery box, the loading screen started to show. Like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not a sales agent. I don't sell washing powder. I am an 18th century merchant trader. Really cool. So, and when they open up more, there's actually, they see that they're part of this city-state. And the city-state's job is basically to trade with their colonies, just like the Dutch did. And we've teamed it a little bit more Baltic because it was like Polish, Eastern Europe. But basically, the basic concept is that when you do desired actions, when you trade, when you sell, you become wealthy. But not only you, the city becomes wealthy. Right? And when you do desired actions, KPIs, but you don't sell, even if you don't sell, you still get more health. Yeah? And also your city gets more health. And because the company knows that as long as people do the right KPIs, in the end they will start selling. Right? They don't care. And so therefore the pressure on people to sell became much less depressing. And it's like, hey, as long as I do my KPIs, I don't have to sell. As long as I do my KPIs, at least I'm keeping the group healthy. And when the health score of the city grows too low, then all of a sudden your city starts to decay. When it goes even lower, pirates attack. And you have to group together to ward off these pirates from destroying your city. So there again, where the group dynamic came in. And then, of course, if you do that, you level up and you get something like this. Now, of course, we also have profiles, avatars, etc. With this is the usual gamification thing that we know, right? But this is still an important part of gamification. We often talk about beyond points, badges, and leaderboards. It doesn't mean that we don't have points. It doesn't mean we don't have badges. It doesn't mean we don't have avatars. We do, right? It's extrinsic. It plays their role. It's important to give a lot of diversity, and we've done that as well. This is actually very gender imbalanced. way more women than men. Shame on me. Luckily, Sabrina is going to talk at a different time point about our gender approaches, and there's going to be a great discussion later on, I think, as well. I just wanted to show it because I love the artwork. Sorry, it's really, really cool. You can pick any of these. You can also put your own profile picture, but I think 80 to 90% of the people chose to do one of these artwork pieces. Now, you can also level up your bow. So you start with this crappy sloop. This thing goes like really, really slow, and you can really upgrade it to a higher level ship. Now, there's a reason, there's a thinking behind it. It's not just to show off your prowess, right? This actually gives you a booster. What we did is we artificially curtailed the time that it took from HQ to give you feedback on your sales. So normally there will be like you'd get it within half an hour, and from now on you only got it after 2 hours. But if you level up your ships, you get it in 1 hour, half an hour, and almost immediately. And so therefore, there was a constant push for people to say, oh, I want to level up my ship because I want to know with my sales, right? And so the higher your ship is, the easier it was for you to get your results. So again, a more dynamic kind of way to improve your avatar and collection set. Of course, we have also, the usual badges that you get. But again, it were mainly group badges and mainly for challenges that we did collectively. Very important. Now, this I did myself. because I didn't have a screenshot. Sorry, I really wanted to have that screenshot. I've been looking for weeks and weeks and weeks. Our system is completely integrated with Google Maps. Now, the cool thing about that is they already used Google Maps, and they would go from Krakow to Warsaw with their Google Maps. But now we have an overlay, and now it doesn't look like you're in a car. Now it looks like you're sailing, right? So you have this 18th century's map is projected on your Google Maps with the API. It's possible, and the funny thing is, you see yourself going over. I mean, obviously you go over land, but it shows like you're going over sea, and you actually moor your ship at the client. So the whole narrative is extremely immersive from this kind of perspective, which we really liked. And next month I hope to get my hands on the real version, and I'll hope to share it with all of you so you can actually try it out yourself. All right, we also have leaderboards, of course, as I said, PBL, we still use them, but we have different leaderboards, and it's always relative leaderboards. As you can see, you never see number 1, you're number 499, right? We all know that's not very engaging to look at. Now, this is what generated a lot of positive commotion, the tavern. This is where is the community aspect of the app, where people create ideas, do training missions together, battle group challenges together. This is where it all originates, basically. And we first were a little bit anxious, like, oh, what if no one comes, right? What if nobody wants to do anything? And so in the beginning, we kind of moderated it a little bit. But later on, we said that nobody reacted on our moderated post at all. Oh, my time is almost up. And but everybody, liked their own ideas, right, that they put in, which was a good sign. Okay, it's also a management portal. The management releases a newspaper in the tavern that you can click on regularly, and that's where you see all the challenges. You get discount news, etc., etc. All right. There's also this captain's wheel. Every day you get energy, and the energy you can spend at the captain's wheel. So if you do desired actions, your energy builds up, and the wheel spins. And then you can win cool prizes. This way we won a gold coin. And a gold coin is a social treasure. I can only use it if I give it to someone else and that person uses it as well. Right? So again, more social interaction. All right, Michiel, we're almost there. We're going to wrap up. Nice gameful design, right? But okay, so what? What's all this nice gameful design? Says the client, but also says Captain Gamification. Well, these are the results after around 1 year of the application running. We feel it's still MVP, but we think in a few months' time we'll have a new release. So almost 60% increased KPIs, 21% sales growth, social interaction went through the roof, incredible, and the enrollment was 99.7%, even though it was a voluntary experience. Yeah, nobody had to play this game. No one, but everybody installed it and everybody played it on a daily basis. Okay, so this was before, and now you can see after. We think it's a more balanced design than what we had before. And of course, as you know, there's also level 2 Octalysis, which you can read about in Yukai's book. That's here, and I'm clicking through it because I fear the wrath of the Dutchman in front of me. Just here, if you want to know more about this, contact me or the Octalysis Group. If you need help in designing an experience going from analysis to implementation, please contact us, and you can contact us here. That's the secret number for this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.